Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. I'm just trying to share my screen now. Okay. So, thank you very much for joining us, and I want to use this opportunity to appreciate uh, InStride Pathways Youth Foundation. InStride Path Youth Foundation. Thank you very much for all you're doing for young people in Africa and young people in Nigeria. Before us this day is a topic in particular that has been a concern in heart and in mind. And we're going to consider the topic that is called global climate action. Can we balance the environmental responsibility with economic growth? That in as much as we are considering environmental responsibility, we are also trying to balance economic growth with environmental responsibility. So for us to journey in this path, we are going to be looking at Nigeria and Africa at large when it comes to economic and environmental sustainability. Then I'm going to use 3 case studies. As you can see on your screen, I'll be considering agriculture and climate change. I'll be considering renewable energy versus fossil fuels. Yes, we have fossil fuel, we have renewable energy. We'll also be considering deforestation and economic activity. From there, I will give us more statistical insights, and then we talk about the opportunities, the challenges that are there in economic growth and environmental sustainability. And we're going to talk about the opportunities that we find in there. And from there, we draw a conclusion for our topic today. So let me proceed. I want to welcome each and every one of us today, and I hope we are all doing great. Thank you for joining in today, and thank you for InStrade's Foundation, InStrade Pathways Youth Foundation. Thank you for all that you do and for what you will still do in Nigeria and in Africa at large. Thank you for also joining us. So basically, let's dive into the crucial topic, global climate action. Can we balance environmental responsibility with economic growth? Now, let's start from framing some discussion questions. First, when we talk about global climate action, we are referring to the collective efforts by countries, individuals, organizations around the world to address climate change. This involves a range of strategies, procedures, from reducing carbon emission and transitioning into renewable energy to protect our natural ecosystems. However, this brings us to a significant dilemma. On one hand, we have environmental responsibility, and on the other hand, we have economic growth. But the need to engage in sustainable practice that protect our environment, ensuring that we leave a healthy planet for the future generation, for the generations. On the other hand, we have economic growth, that the engine that drives improved lives, standards, job creation, industrial development. These are what we refer to as economic growth. So for us to balance these two, they come with their challenges, and the challenges lies in whether we can achieve this economic growth without compromising the health of our environment. The question I will throw to us is this. Now, this question is actually particularly relevant for us in Nigeria and in Africa. Our continent is uniquely positioned. We are blessed with abundant natural resources, minerals, forests, diverse ecosystems that are essential not only for our economics, but also for the global economy. Yet we are faced with several environmental challenges such as deforestation, desertification, and even heightened vulnerability to climate change. As we strive for economic development, the temptation is to exploit these resources to their fullest, But if we do so without considering the environmental consequences, we risk long-term damage that could undermine our future growth and well-being for our people. So today, we are going to explore some key questions together. Uh, we're going to explore some key questions together that I want you to ponder on it. What role do Nigeria and the African countries play in global climate action? What role do you, that you are seated here, what role do you play? What role do I play in global climate action? Then how can we as an individual, as a country, and as a continent grow economically while preserving our natural environment? And what strategies can we implement to achieve this delicate balance? So as we move forward, I hope to provide some insight and spark a discussion on how we can address these challenges in a way that benefits both our economy and the environment. As you can see from your screen, from the image on your screen, we have a representation of economic growth and environmental sustainability. Two sides of the same coin, but different face. Two sides of the same coin. So achieving harmony between them is the goal of our discussion today. Having said that, understanding the climate economic dilemma in Nigeria and even Africa at large, there's a need for us to understand that. I will try as much as possible to keep to time. I have just 20 and maximum 25 minutes. Now, understanding the climate economic dilemma in Nigeria and Africa, conflict between economic growth, there had been conflict between economic growth and environmental sustainability. In Nigeria and Africa at large, the pursuit of economic growth often conflicts with the need of environmental sustainability. Rapid industrialization, urbanization, and infrastructure development are crucial for economic progress. Yet they frequently come at the cost of environmental degradation. Activities such as deforestation, mining, and the expansion of agricultural land contribute to habitat loss, biodiversity decline, and increase in carbon emission. The dilemma lies in balancing the urgent need for economic development to reduce poverty and improving life standards with the imperative to preserve the environment for future generations. Having this in mind, how industrialization and economic activities contribute to climate change, you cannot really overemphasize them, because industrialization and economic activities definitely they contribute to climate change, because industrialization, while driving economic growth, is a significant contributor factor to climate change in Nigeria and even Africa at large. So the heavy reliance on fossil fuels for energy, coupled with the rapid expansion of industries, results in high greenhouse gas emission. Additionally, practices such as flaring in the oil and gas sector, uncontrolled logging, and unsustainable agricultural practices exacerbate the release of carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere. These activities not only drive climate change, but also lead to environmental degradation, affecting the air quality, water resources, and even our soil fertility. When we also talk about economic dependence on natural resources in Africa and in Nigeria, Africa's economic is heavily, let me even try to contextualize it. Nigeria economy is heavily dependent on its natural resources, including oil, mineral, forest, and arable land. In Nigeria, for instance, oil and gas account for a significant portion for the country's GDP and government revenue. Similarly, agriculture, which is climate sensitive, employs a large percentage of the population across the continent. So this dependence on natural resources makes African economies vulnerable, makes Nigerian economy vulnerable to impact of the climate change, such as droughts, floods, and often resource depletion. Moreover, the exploitation of these resources often leads to environmental degradation. So creating a vicious cycle where economic activities undermine the very ecosystem they depend on. This climate economy dilemma poses a critical challenge for Nigeria and Africa, necessitating a shift towards more sustainable practices that can support both economic growth and environmental preservation. Having said all this, let's look at the case study. Now, remember I said I'm going to give us 3 case studies. The first case study is agriculture and climate change. When we talk about the impact of climate change on agriculture, agriculture is the bedrock of many African countries, including Nigeria, providing livelihoods for a large portion of the population. However, climate change is severely impacting this sector, leading to several challenges. When we talk about change under the impact of climate change on agriculture, we're talking about changing weather patterns, soil degradation and desertification, pest and disease outbreak. Now, for pest and disease outbreaks, climate change is also altering the habitats and life cycle of pest and disease, making crops more vulnerable. For instance, the increased incidence of the fall armyworm in Africa has been linked to changing climatic conditions. This pest has devastated maize crops across the continent, threatening food security and farmers' income. So when we also talk about adaptation and mitigation strategies, adaptation and mitigation strategies is talking about we adapt to the system, and then we need to develop a progress or a procedure that will help us to fight against this. So to address the challenges posed by the climate change, African countries, including Nigeria, needs to adopt various strategies in order for us to combat that. Now, let's go to economic consideration. While these strategies are crucial for building resilience, they also require significant investment and support. That is, we need to invest in the agricultural research. We need to invest in public sector, that is public-private partnership. We need to also develop policy that support and fund them. So agriculture in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, is a crucial crossroad due to the impact of climate change. The sector vulnerability highlights the need for immediate and sustained action to build resilience through climate smart practice, better water management, and diversification. By investing in these strategies, Africa can secure its agricultural future, ensure food security, and protect the livelihood of million farmers. However, this will require concerted effort from all stakeholders, from including government, the private sector, and international partners, even individuals, to provide the necessary resources and support to combat environmental degradation. Now, when we talk, the case 2 is talking about energy. You all will agree with me that energy has become one of the major factors in terms of industrialization. So having talked about agriculture in the first part of this case study, I want us to know that energy is critical enabler of industrialization in Nigeria and in Africa at large. But the continent faces significant challenges in meeting its energy needs. So addressing these challenges require a multifaceted approach, a multifaceted strategy or procedure. This includes investing in renewable energy, improving energy efficiency, and fostering regional cooperation and engaging the private sector. At the same time, Africa must pursue a path of sustainable industrialization that balance both the economic growth and environmental sustainability. By doing so, the continent can achieve a long-term prosperity while protecting environment for future generations. Case study number 3 is deforestation. You all will agree with me that industrialization cannot come without deforestation. So what is in when we talk about deforestation, it's not far-fetched. It's just the means, it's just a way of taking off trees from a particular place in order for you to do something. Either you want to destroy the forest for you to build your house, or you want to destroy the forest to build something. You shall want to do something. So deforestation in Africa is complex issues driven by is a complex issue driven by economic activities that provide essential incomes and development opportunities, but at the cost of environmental degradation. So to address this challenge, Africa must adopt sustainable practice that balance the needs of economic growth with the imperative to preserve its forest. So by promoting agroforestry, sustainable forest management, reforestation, and alternative livelihoods, Nigerian can also reduce deforestation and ensure that its natural resources are conserved for future generations. The success of these procedures or these strategies will require strong governance, community, and individual engagement and support. Having said this, let's look at some statistical insight. If you look at the diagram on your screen, you discover that there is a give and take, garbage in, garbage out. What you give to the environment is what you are getting back. Forest cover loss. When we look at it now in Africa, African is losing its forest at an alarming rate, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization. Accounted for about 16% of the world forest cover in 2020. But the continent has been experiencing the highest rate of deforestation globally. Between 2010 and 2020, Africa lost approximately 3.9 million acres of forest annually, representing a 0.8% annual decrease in forest cover. So now, if you look at these statistics, you will all agree with me. It is expected that when you destroy a single tree, you are expected to plant a number of trees according to the law of the land. So what is the law in Zimbabwe saying? What's the law in Mozambique saying? What's the law in Uganda saying? What's the law in Nigeria saying concerning deforestation, concerning destruction of cutting down of a tree? So all these little things that we do have a significant impact in our society. So this statistical insight underline the profound impact that deforestation has on Nigeria, has in Nigeria, and has on African economy, environment, and even its society. So while deforestation driven activities contribute to short-term economic gains, the long-term cost, environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity, and socio-economic challenges pose a significant risk to sustainable development. These statistics highlight the urgent need for African countries to adopt sustainable practices that balance economic growth with environmental sustainability. Sorry, you can actually listen to this over and over again. I'm just trying to be in a rush so that I will meet up with the time allocated to me. Now, balancing economic growth with environmental sustainability in Africa or in Nigeria is a complex challenge due to the continent's heavy reliance on natural resource extraction, rapid population growth, and urbanization. These factors, combined with weak regulatory frameworks, poverty-driven environmental degradation, and vulnerability to climate change, make it difficult to achieve sustainable development. The pressure from global markets and limited public awareness further complicate efforts when we want to talk about balancing growth and sustainability. So addressing this challenge requires a multifaceted approach that includes strengthening governance, diversifying economy, investing in clean technology, and fostering international cooperation to ensure a long-term sustainability. Having said this, economic growth and sustainability practices. What are the things we need to do? Number one, sustainable agriculture. We develop a means for the sustainable agriculture. Number two, let's embrace renewable energy. It is very important. Sustainable tourism. You see, when we talk about sustainable tourism, Africa or Nigeria is rich biodiversity, stunning landscape, and cultural heritage offer immense potential for ecotourism. So by promoting sustainable tourism practice such as reasonable wildlife viewing, conservation, focused tourism, and community-based tourism, countries can attract international tourists while preserving their natural cultural assets. Today, we used to have a wildlife park in Jos. How wild is the park? How is the park doing? We have Yankari Game Reserve in Bauchi. How are they doing? How are we maintaining it? You see, in Africa, we have a building culture, but implementation and maintenance is one key factor that is affecting us in this part of the world. Sustainable practice offer a viable path for Africans, for Nigerians, country as a country, to achieve economic growth while preserving our natural resources. By embracing sustainability in agriculture, energy, tourism, and infrastructure, Nigeria can build a resilient, diversified economy that meets the needs of its people without compromising the environment. The integration of this practice not only supports immediate economic development, but also ensures the long-term health and prosperity of the continent. Are there challenges in these things? Yes, there are challenges. There are challenges. Africa faces significant challenge in implementing sustainable practice. Implementing them, the 17 sustainable goals, they are challenged. So implementing them becomes a problem, including heavy dependence on natural resources, rapid population growth, weak regulatory framework, and vulnerability to climate change. However, these are the challenges, but it also presents opportunities for growth through environmental responsibility. So by embracing sustainable practice in sectors like agriculture, energy, and urban development, Africa or Nigeria can drive economic growth while preserving its environment. Resilience and adaptive strategy are crucial for navigating these challenges, enabling Africa as a country, African countries to build a sustainable and prosperous future. In conclusion, it is important for us to note that Africa, in conclusion, Africa's journey towards sustainability is marked by both significant challenges and natural resources for agriculture growth. So when we talk about the topic we treated, which we refer to balancing the industrialization, balancing the economic and environment sustainability, economic growth and environmental sustainability. It is possible for us to balance it. So resilience, adaptive strategies are essential to overcome these challenges Africa faces. So by integrating these strategies into national development plans, African countries can better manage the effects of climate change, protect their natural resources, and build economies that are both robust and sustainable, emphasizing education, innovation, and international cooperation. See, creating awareness just as in-stride pathways Youth Foundation is doing now. Creating awareness is very important. And that is why what we must do and what we must embrace in order for us to make Africa a, an industrial country and even a well sustainable environment. With that, thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you some other time. And thank you very much, Instrat Pathways Foundation, Youth Foundation, for giving me this opportunity and for giving me this platform.